Okay, so welcome back to my channel. Okay, this is Girlfriend Season 1, Episode 2. Okay, so I'm assuming it's the following morning, and this is, it's Sue's birthday. And she actually sleeps in a little bit. Gail stops by to drop her grandson off, I guess, for Ruby to watch, because Tom had been arrested for missing curfew. And so at this point, they don't really know what's going to happen with that, if he's going to come home, or if they're going to, or if he's going to have to do the remainder of his sentence or whatever, if they're going to send him back to jail. And so Linda is, milling around the kitchen because she's making Sue a birthday breakfast. So there's a knock at the door. It's the police. Carol had gone to the police to tell them what they believed happened to Mickey. So of course they have to investigate. So they stopped by to ask Linda a series of questions, and she was, she got very emotional, and she answered the questions the best she could, okay? And so after that, the police leave, and so people are, milling around. Everybody's up and out doing whatever it is that they're doing. And she goes upstairs, and she starts going through Mickey's things. I think she's in the process of packing his stuff up, but she's also going through his things, I think, to find out what she can find out about Carol. Okay, so Sue heads to the flat that she shared with John to pick up the rest of her things. So while she's there, John shows up, and he was basically wishing her a happy birthday. He was like, in all these years, I've never missed your birthday. And he actually asked her out for, I don't know, dinner, I think it was. And so while they were talking and reminiscing, a woman showed up, and she was basically like, okay, you can wait for me to get out of here, huh? You already got some other bitch lined up. So he was trying to explain to her that no, she's a letting agent, which I think he, which was funny that he would say that, because, which I thought was odd, because when he first came in, he was like, oh, I was hoping to catch you here. She said, well, I'm just here to pick up my things. He said, well, I didn't expect you to move out. I only was reminding you that I own the place. And so now you have this woman showing up that at this point she think is his new thing. And he said, no, she's a letting agent. So you didn't expect her to move out, but you brought a leasing agent to come and see the property so that you can rent it. So I thought that was kind of odd, but okay. So of course Sue is just, she's done. She don't want to hear shit else he has to say. And so she just, she heads out. She actually was heading to meet up with Gail. So Gail was at her mother's place. Her mother stays in kind of a retirement-esque kind of community that offers, I guess, some medical assistance. And so she stopped by, she just stops by to make sure that her mother is okay. I think she's either suffering from some early stages of dementia or Alzheimer's. And so she goes by to make sure that she's eating, that, she has everything that she needs. And, her mom said, oh, Dave stopped by. Dave is Gail's soon-to-be ex-husband. And, the thing is, Gail and Dave love each other. It's just that they're really disconnected right now. And they're both having second thoughts about this divorce. Dave is saying he never wanted the divorce. And Gail is now, she's regretting it. And I think she just has a lot. She has a lot going on right now. But she really doesn't want the divorce. She still loves Dave. And so she's, she makes sure her mom's okay. And she heads out. Sue actually pulls up. And she tells her that she found out where Carol works. So Carol works in a consignment shop. So of course, Lord, I'm losing. Sue decided she was going to stop by. She grabbed a few of her pieces because Miss Sue is fabulous, right? So her fashions are high end. So she goes to the consignment shop with some things because I guess she just didn't want to show up because then it would just look awkward. So they get there, her and Gail get there, and they see that Carol is being questioned by the police. And so after the questioning is done and they leave, she take her dresses up and says she wants to sell these items. And of course they kind of looked him over and like, oh, of course, it'll be no problem for us to sell these things. And so they started talking to her, and they eventually revealed who they were. They told her that they were Linda's friends, and they wanted to know why she was harassing her. She's grieving the loss of her husband. Okay. And so she says again that she claimed that Linda killed Mickey, and that Mickey didn't love her, and that they've been having an affair for years, and that she would go to this particular club to hear Mickey's band play. Apparently he was in the band. And that he told her that when they got back from the cruise that he was leaving her. And she actually told him about the insurance policy. Well, if she didn't kill her, then why did she increase their insurance, or why did she take out a second insurance policy? So the fact she knew about the insurance policy kind of added some validity to the fact that she knew that she had some kind of relationship with Mickey. And so, of course, that kind of left Gail and Sue kind of like, oh, shit. So they're starting to, Linda's different and they love her dearly, but they have questions. I'll say that they have questions. And so after leaving the shop, they met up with Linda because Andrew Sue's son had purchased a spa package for her that included, she could take 2 friends. Of course, it was Gail and Linda. So they get there, and, they're just making small talk, and, they're trying to pull information out of her. They're kind of asking her questions in this kind of caring way, and then they keep kind of sliding in questions about the insurance policy, and she's really not answering them directly. She's kind of talking around, just talking, and she hasn't really caught on yet that, and they had to click her, like, why are they asking about this insurance policy? While they were getting their massage, Sue was still at it, trying to see if she could find out about this insurance policy and to see what Linda actually knows. And you have on another table Gail getting a bikini wax for the first time. So that scene was hilarious. Sue was talking. Next thing you know, you hear Linda snoring, and the next thing you know, you hear Gail screaming bloody murder after they pulled the wax strip off. So that was hilarious. Okay, so after they left the spa, they went to what looks like the mall. I don't know if there was a terrace or something they were going to, but at this point, Sue still hasn't caught on. So they are just walking, and I don't know. They at this point they took the elevator up and they're walking, and then eventually everybody jumps out and surprise, surprise, surprise. So of course Sue is excited. She's very happy. She's touched. She's emotional, and everybody is happy birthday, and oh, you deserve it. You're lovely and wonderful and special and all of that. Okay. And so Sue tells Andrew that she moved out of the apartment, which of course made him happy because he can't stand John. Never could. So Andrew, for some reason, thought that this would be a great opportunity to introduce his mother to his family. He introduced Rob as his lover, and then he introduced Natalie is Sam, his son's mother, and Carrie is Belle, his daughter's mother. So, of course, she's finding out, the Belle is like 2 or 3 at this point. Sam is probably maybe 1 year old. So she's just now finding out that Andrew has this family. At this point, she thought that no one knew about. So she is, of course, standing there in shock. She's trying to find out why, he never told her, why it took him so long to tell her. And he basically felt like, it was basically her relationship with John. He can't stand the man. And he always felt like, he basically said he always felt like she always put John first. And that he was never as important as John, and that he recounted a situation where they all were just happened to be out and about, and of course he was with his mother, and then they ran and bumped into John, and John was with his wife Beth, and they have their 2 sons, and he greeted Andrew with a handshake. He basically acted like he was a stranger. He ignored Andrew his entire life, and so all of that anger and resentment. It just came out, and of course people are standing around shocked, like, oh shit, okay, what's going on here? And so of course after that, I think him and his family left, and everyone, Gail and Linda tried to comfort her. Her mom then walks over and tries to comfort her, and based on her response, Sue was like, "You knew the whole time, didn't you?" She was like, I did, but he promised me not to tell you, and it wasn't my secret to tell, and I was trying to drop hints, but it just always seemed to go over your head. So Ryan and Ruby leaves because they have to go back to work because they both still work on the ship. And as they are, and so Sue and not Sue, Linda and Gail are leaving, and then Dave finally shows up. And because all this time she'd wait for him to show up, she thought he had stood her up. But he was like, I've been trying to call you. He said, basically, your mother wandered off, and because they couldn't get in contact with you, they called me. And so that's why I'm late. And she was like, oh my goodness, is she okay, or what's going on? Sue goes to Andrew's house. So Sue's mom shows her where Andrew lives. So I'm like, God damn, she's never been to her son's house either. So he basically cut her out of that part of his life. And so she had to show her where she lives, because she felt like, she couldn't leave things the way they were. And so Rob answers the door, and Rob is all smiles. He was like, oh, it's no problem. She apologized for just showing up. He's like, oh, it's no problem. Please come in. He, was very welcoming. He invited her in. And so she was basically just very apologetic. And then while she's apologizing, Andrew comes around like, who is it? And then he sees his mom, and she's like basically saying how sorry she was. And, she apologized for how he always felt about her relationship with John, and John always feel like John was always being put first. And so they go in, they sit down, and you have Natalie and Kelly, and they're in there with the children. And so she, it's just taking her breath away, because all this time she had talked about wanting grandchildren. And here she has 2 beautiful grandchildren, and she's very emotional because she's missed some parts of their lives. And it was her fault. It was her fault. I mean, there's no way around it. And so she was basically saying that, she's sorry about everything that happened, and that she really wants to be a part of their lives. And so a very cute scene, her granddaughter gets the comb from her mom, the brush, and she walks over to Sue, and she said, would you brush my hair for me? And she has like a little lisp. It was really cute. And so it was a very touching scene. And so Andrew then eventually, once the children were getting ready. They were getting them ready for bed anyway, so they put them down. They settled down. The house settles down. Rob takes the dog for a walk, and then him and his mom kind of sit down and have a heart-to-heart. And then they, eventually start talking about this age discrimination lawsuit that Andrew is going to file against John on his mother's behalf. And so, okay, Gail goes to Linda's home, and she starts talking about Carol. And Linda, I guess in the attempt to change the subject, I'm not sure, but Linda asked about Dave, and she basically said that she was going to tell Dave that she doesn't want the divorce, that she's ready to try again. And then, of course, Gail brought up the insurance policy, and Linda starts questioning. That's when it starts clicking. Like, Linda is like, why do you keep asking me about this insurance policy? And Gail asked Linda if she wanted to, because Linda is not tech savvy, so she was going to enter in the telephone numbers for Ryan and Ruby, and she was going to kind of update her phone and show her how to use Skype or FaceTime or something. And so while she was holding the phone, she received a text, and I think it was from Carol, and I think this is when she told her that her and Sue went to see Carol. And of course that set her off. But she was like, basically, is this why you've been asking me about the insurance policy? What? I don't understand. Why do you keep asking me about this insurance policy? And basically Linda basically asked her to leave. And so at this point, the police arrived again, but this time to arrest Linda. I mean, there wasn't a lot going on in this episode, but there was some scenes that were more detailed than others, but as a whole, there wasn't a lot that went on in this particular episode. So I am going to leave this here, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.